All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video, and we'll check out Pig and a Pickle. They've got two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early and get some brisket. Get some brisket chili. Tell them Larry Krueger sent you. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. News in Ninerland. According to Twitter, Mike Garafolo reporting this. The 49ers worked out Dolphins free agent running back and Jaguars free agent Dolphins free agent running back Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jaguars free agent running back D'Ernest Johnson today. Interesting moves on both fronts. Okay. First, let's take a look at D'Ernest Johnson. I'm going to show you. We'll share the screen and show you a little bit of D'Ernest Johnson on X. And here's just a video of some of his runs in a game recently. Interesting back. Has been part of a committee there in Cleveland for a couple years. I like this guy going back to college. Solid player. Not a burner. Not huge. Just a pretty quick runner. I think would be a good fit in this scheme. So here's some of his highlights running for the Browns against the Cowboys defense. And as you can see, he's mediocre sized running back, but he has some talent. He's got some twist. He's got a little bit of burst. He's got some pick and slide, as you can see here. So D'Ernest Johnson is one of the names. And then if we shared the screen and showed you D'Ernest Johnson's his game log from last year. This is his 2024 game log. So he really didn't play very much. He played at the end of the year. He had 2 carries for 26 yards and 1 reception on 2 targets against the Colts. Other than that, so he had 2 carries in that game. He had 2 carries in the Lions game, 2 carries in the Eagles game, single carry in the Green Bay game. He had 9 carries against New England in the game in London, and he got 38 yards. So he averaged 4.2 a carry. He also had 3 receptions on 4 targets in that game. So that was a very productive game. He had 6 carries for 28 yards against the Bears. I guess that was the London game. So 4.7 a carry there. 5 carries against Cleveland, his former team. He went for 5.2 a carry in September 15th, early in the year. So on the year, 32 carries for 143 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. That's pretty good, 4.5 yards a carry. So D'Ernest Johnson, he played at South Florida, and he's an interesting player. He's been in the league a few years now. So he came into the league. His first year in the league was 2019. His best year in the league was 2021 when he had 100 carries, fought for 534 yards. But, if you look at the averages, 5.3 a carry in 2019, 5 yards a carry in 2020, 5.3 a carry in 2021, and then it dipped, 4.3 in 2022, 2.6 a carry in 23, and then last year, 4.5 carries. Only got 3 career rushing touchdowns, or at least 3 career touchdowns. The longest run of his career, it looks like, is 30 yards. And he's had 1 fumble in his career. So he doesn't fumble. That's good. And then reception-wise, he's had as many as 19 receptions in a season back in 2021. And he's also gives you a little bit as a kick returner. So there's D'Ernest Johnson, and we'll stop sharing that. But that's half of it. The other half is Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson, it was a pretty good 49er. They got him as an undrafted player, and Wilson has been, a really solid NFL player really throughout his career. Here is his game log from last year. So, he didn't play very much. He had 16 carries on the year for the Dolphins for 57 yards, 3.6 a carry, no touchdowns, 3 receptions on 3 targets. Um, not a big year, only 19 yards receiving, 19 yards total receiving, 57 yards rushing. So, you look at his year. I mean, what was his? He had he had 5 carries in September against Jacksonville for 26 yards, 5.2 a carry. He had 3 carries against Seattle for 14 yards, 4.7 a carry. He had 2 carries against the Niners in the game in December for 12 yards, 6 yards a carry. So, I mean, Jeff Wilson's an interesting back for sure. He went to North Texas, and he's a guy that is a tough guy. He fits the Niners locker room. He fits the Niners culture. It does kind of make you wonder if the 49ers are having some injury issue that we're unaware of in their running backfield. That's the one thing when you sit now. If you look at the Niners running backs, I would say that they don't need Jeff Wilson or Ernest Johnson. I think it's a pretty deep backfield right now, but you've got Christian McCaffrey, and Christian's coming off an injury plagued season. You have Isaac Guerendo. Guerendo, I don't want to say is injury prone, but he's had some injuries early in his career. Then you have Jordan James, their 5th-round pick out of Oregon, who I think has looked really good as a receiver in this camp. Then you have Patrick Taylor, the special teamer, who I think they're very fond of. He catches the ball well. He's looked pretty good. He had a real nice year last year for the 49ers. You have Juszczyk, your fullback. And then you have Corey Kiner. And heck, I was just comparing Corey Kiner to Emmitt Smith. I think Corey Kiner looks terrific as far as his twisting, turning, fighting for every possible yard. So, I mean, I would say you're probably going to keep 5. And right now you got 6 players. So I guess maybe they just want a little bit more depth. Maybe they just want a little bit more depth in the preseason. But if it came down to Ernest Johnson or Jeff Wilson, I'd probably just go with Jeff Wilson from the standpoint you've had Jeff Wilson before. He knows the locker room. He knows the system. He's more familiar with the 49ers system than Johnson is because he was a former Niner. I don't think either guy is a world beater, but I think Jeff Wilson's a tough guy and a solid back. And that would be, if you're going to go into training camp, the one thing that you want to make sure that you don't overuse Christian McCaffrey. I think that's a very important part of the year ahead for the 49ers. They cannot overuse Christian McCaffrey again. You have to somehow get to the finish line with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. And, that to me is very important. If you can get to the end of the season, get to the playoffs with a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I think you got a real shot. But here is the Niners depth chart. You can take a look for yourself at running back. And they got 6 guys, and it might be 6 guys for 5 spots. So, I love Kiner, and Jordan James was the 5th-round pick, and Guerendo's super big and fast, and Juszczyk and McCaffrey aren't going anywhere. So the odd man out on paper would be Patrick Taylor. Now, there may have been some injury that we're not aware of to either Guerendo, McCaffrey, Jordan James. I don't know who. I was at practice yesterday. I didn't see anybody go down with an injury. But, they also may just be looking to, not use Christian a lot in the preseason. And maybe they're looking for somebody to take some of those hard carries in these 3 preseason games and a couple of these joint practices that could be pretty fierce between now and week 1. And maybe a guy like Jeff Wilson or Ernest Johnson is exactly what the doctor ordered. I don't think that I would put Jeff Wilson on this roster over Jordan James or over Corey Kiner or over Isaac Guerendo. I probably would put him on this roster over Patrick Taylor. I probably like Jeff Wilson a little bit more than Patrick Taylor, just because he's got a longer run of NFL success from the running back position. But if you don't want to use McCaffrey in the preseason, then you probably do need to add another running back just to shoulder the load that will be experienced in camp and throughout the month of August. So this could just be, hey, let's take some of the workload off McCaffrey. There could be no injury. Or you never know. Maybe McCaffrey's like, hey, man, my Achilles is getting tight. And they said, uh-oh, wait a second, Christian's Achilles is getting tight. I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm totally speculating, which is somewhat reckless. But, I don't know. I don't know why the Niners suddenly would have interest. They seem like they've got a pretty deep offensive backfield right now. I definitely like all their backs. I think it's going to be a really good competition this summer between Kiner and James and Taylor for probably 2 spots. And I would expect James and Kiner are going to get those 2 spots. But if Garendo's having physical issues, or if James is having physical issues, or if McCaffrey's having a recurrence of any of the Achilles tendonitis that he had in both legs last year, maybe it's prudent to add another back. And you can never, it's like starting pitching in baseball. You can never have enough pass rushers in football, but you can also never have enough useful running backs that that you can utilize from scrimmage. So very interesting report for sure. And that's the Niner depth chart right there. If it came down to D'Ernest Johnson or Jeff Wilson, I'm probably leaning with Jeff Wilson. But very interesting report. So there you go. You have the latest now. The 49ers, according to Mike Garafolo, are taking a look at Jeff Wilson Jr. and D'Ernest Johnson as possible running back additions. What does it mean? Does it indicate there's an injury? Does it show a reluctance to maybe put Christian McCaffrey in any significant role in any of these 3 preseason games? Or is it just, hey, you know what? We want an extra camp body to absorb some of the punishment. But Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo reporting today that the Niners worked out veteran running backs Jeff Wilson Jr. and D'Ernest Johnson. And we will tell you the latest if either of them opt to sign with the 49ers. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades for sponsoring this video. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.